Gregory Peck. For millions, he was Atticus Finch, the epitome of integrity, quiet strength, and moral courage. A true Hollywood legend, an icon. But behind that towering public persona, he was a father to 5 children from 2 marriages. What happens when your dad is one of the most beloved actors of all time? Let's find out what happened to Gregory Peck's children. Number 5. Jonathan Peck, born on July 20th, 1944, in Los Angeles, California. He was the first child of Gregory Peck and his Finnish-born first wife, Greta Kukkonen. 2 more sons, Stephen and Carey Paul, would follow before Gregory and Greta divorced, when Jonathan was around 8 or 9 years old. This early family transition, plus the immense fame of his father, undoubtedly shaped his formative years. After the divorce, his father married French journalist Véronique Pisani, and Jonathan gained 2 half-siblings, Anthony and Cecilia. Even from a young age, Jonathan showed a drive to excel. He was a track star in school and a high school champion runner, carving out his own identity in athletics. This wasn't just about sports. He also graduated from the respected Occidental College, showing a well-rounded nature. Jonathan's character was also marked by a desire to serve and explore. He volunteered for the Peace Corps, spending 2 transformative years in Tanzania. Imagine the worldview that experience must have given him, so different from his California upbringing. He also committed 6 years to the Marine Corps Reserves, showing a sense of duty and discipline. These weren't paths smoothed by his father's fame. They were challenges he took on himself. After college, Jonathan chose the demanding field of journalism. His career began in radio at KNX Los Angeles, where he worked for 3 years, learning the ropes. He then moved into television, becoming an on-camera reporter for United Press International, UPI, and for KCOY-TV in Santa Maria, California. These roles showed his growing competence in a competitive field. Interestingly, way back in 1958, he had a tiny, uncredited role as Boy in his father's epic western, The Big Country, but his clear dedication was to journalism, not acting. Despite his achievements and outward purpose, Jonathan Peck was fighting significant internal battles. Tragically, on June 26, 1975, at just 30 years old, he died by suicide in his Santa Barbara apartment, found by a friend from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His father, Gregory Peck, later spoke about the immense despair his son faced. He believed factors included depression, the strain of overwork in his journalism career, the pain of a failed love affair, and a serious underlying health condition, arteriosclerosis. The loss of Jonathan had a profound and lasting impact on Gregory Peck. The renowned actor, a symbol of strength for so many, openly shared his grief. He also expressed deep regret about being in France instead of California during his son's final days. Gregory Peck reportedly took a 2-year hiatus from acting after Jonathan's death, a testament to his sorrow. Jonathan and his father were said to have shared a close bond, confiding in each other regularly, which made the loss even more acute. Number 4, Stephen Peck, born on August 16, 1946, in Los Angeles. Like his brothers, he grew up in a family distinguished by artistic achievement. He initially leaned towards the arts, studying film at Northwestern University. However, his undergraduate studies were interrupted when he was drafted into the U.S. Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. Stephen served as a first lieutenant in the 1st Marine Division near Da Nang from 1969 to 1970, working as an artillery officer and forward observer in a dangerous area. His dedication earned him the Navy Commendation Medal. He described combat as extraordinary how exhilarating it can be, but also acknowledged, "Those memories don't leave you." He left the Marines in March 1971, and his wartime experiences would profoundly shape his future. Upon returning, Stephen completed his graduate film education at USC. He worked on the 1970s TV show That's Hollywood and, in a deeply personal project, produced a 1986 recording of the New Testament read by his father, Gregory Peck, an endeavor Stephen said brought us closer. His early writing credits also show an engagement with social issues. He was a writer and production assistant on The Trial of the Catonsville Nine, 1972, a film produced by his father about Catholic activists protesting the Vietnam War. His wartime service eventually guided him to documentary filmmaking. In 1989, he directed Heart of the Warrior, which movingly portrayed the aftermath of war for a U.S. Vietnam veteran and a Soviet Afghanistan veteran, highlighting their shared pain and healing. But it was his 1990 to 1991 documentary, Far From Home, focusing on homeless Vietnam veterans in Venice, California, that became a pivotal turning point. He said, his life changed in 1990 when Peck made a film about a group of homeless veterans. He realized being an observer on the problem wasn't enough. He needed to be an active participant in solving the problem. This realization propelled Steven to retool. He earned a master's degree in social work, MSW, from USC in 1997. Even while studying, he began working as an outreach worker at a VA medical center, reaching out to veterans one by one on the street. Within a week of starting this work in 1993, he knew he'd found his calling. In 1996, Steven was recruited to U.S. Vets, then United States Veterans Initiative, as Director of Community Development. He went on to become the inaugural director of their largest site in Long Beach, California. His leadership was quickly recognized, and in August 2010, he was appointed President and CEO of U.S. Vets. For 14 years, he led the organization, transforming it into the nation's largest nonprofit dedicated to providing housing, employment, and counseling to at-risk and homeless veterans. Under his guidance, U.S. Vets expanded significantly, and the number of homeless veterans in the U.S. dropped by about half. His leadership philosophy centered on empowering veterans towards sustainable independence. He often quoted a lesson from the Marines: "If you don't go where the trouble is, you can't solve the problem." After more than 28 years, Steven Peck retired as President and CEO on January 2, 2025. But his commitment hasn't ended. He continues to work with USVETS on key initiatives like the major West LA VA housing development, and remains deeply involved in national advocacy for veterans. He also serves as president of the California Association of Veteran Service Agencies, CAVSA, and is on the board of the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans, NCHV. Steven Peck's first marriage was to Kimmy Peck, divorced 1978. He later married Francine Matarazzo, with whom he had his son, Ethan Peck, born 1986, who has followed in his grandfather's footsteps as an actor. This marriage also ended in divorce. Steven is currently married to Christine Kidd, a respected food writer and former food editor of Bon Appetit magazine. They live in Topanga Canyon, Los Angeles, with their Labrador, Atticus, a clear nod to his father's iconic role. Steven has a stepdaughter, Marisa Matarazzo, a writer. He has said, "There's not a decision I make without thinking of what my father would do," showing Gregory Peck's enduring moral influence. Number 3. Carey Paul Peck. Born on June 17, 1949, in Los Angeles, Carey was young when his parents divorced. He attended Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., a choice that aligns with his later career in public service and policy. Demonstrating an early commitment to service, Carey joined the Peace Corps, working in Asia. He trained English teachers in Sri Lanka and taught English to graduate students in Pakistan. This international experience gave him first-hand exposure to the needs of communities in developing nations. After the Peace Corps, Carey worked on Capitol Hill for U.S. Senator Claiborne Pell of Rhode Island, focusing on education policy. This was a critical phase, honing his understanding of public affairs. Carey Peck took his commitment to public service into the electoral arena, twice running for a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. In 1978, he ran as a Democrat in California's 27th Congressional District against Republican incumbent Robert K. Dornan. Carey emphasized it was his race, though many of his father's famous friends headlined fundraisers. The election was incredibly close, with Carey getting 49% of the vote to Dornan's 51%. The intense campaign reportedly strained his marriage to his then-wife, Catherine S. Goldrich. Undeterred, Carey ran again in 1980 against Dornan, receiving 46.47% of the vote to Dornan's 51%. A Libertarian candidate got 2.53%. After this second unsuccessful bid, Carey transitioned away from direct political candidacy. After his congressional campaigns, Carey Peck moved into the private sector as a bank officer. Later, he found a lasting professional home at the Los Angeles Unified School District, LAUSD. There, he has served as a principal analyst and grant administrator, pioneering and championing empowering after-school programs. One of his most prominent contributions has been his significant involvement with the Cyber Patriot Program, a national youth cyber education initiative. For over a decade, Carey has been a consultant for this program at LAUSD's Beyond the Bell, helping it align with their mission of providing career-oriented STEM education, especially for students from underserved communities. Liz Frauman, former director of the California Cyber Hub, called him the quiet strength behind LAUSD's cyber success. He's witnessed students find direction through cybersecurity, some going on to advanced studies in AI. Carey Paul Peck married Catherine S. Goldrich in 1978, and they have a daughter, Marissa John Frances Peck, born 1983. He later married Lita Albuquerque, an acclaimed environmental and installation artist. They have a son, Christopher Jonathan Peck, born 1990. The inclusion of Jonathan in his son's name is a poignant tribute to Carey's late older brother. While Carey's career has been in public service, his marriage to an established artist shows a continued appreciation for the arts in his personal life. He has occasionally engaged with his father's cinematic legacy, such as discussing To Kill a Mockingbird for the BBC and participating in interviews for DVD extras of his father's films, offering personal insights. His approach is one of respectful stewardship, honoring a remarkable heritage while maintaining his own distinct professional identity. Number 2, Anthony Tony Peck. Born Anthony A. Peck on October 24, 1956 in Los Angeles, Tony's early environment was extraordinary. Luminaries like Frank Sinatra, Gene Kelly, and Audrey Hepburn were regular dinner guests. He said, "I thought it was normal until I was about 16. His mother, Veronique, was a significant philanthropist and arts patron. This rich environment fostered Tony's artistic inclinations. He attended boarding school in Switzerland, then Amherst College, and later honed his craft at Juilliard. He admitted to a Peck's bad boy role during his school years, a phase that wasn't easy on my dad, perhaps a way of pushing against his father's immense shadow. Tony Peck's career has spanned acting, writing, and producing. He spent summers on his father's film sets, like The Scarlet and the Black in Rome. His acting roles include starring opposite Brooke Shields and Brenda Starr, 1989, appearing in the TV series Hollywood Detective, 1991, and films like Sliver, 1993, and The Conspiracy, 2008. As a writer, his credits include Free Money, 1998, and Diary of a Sex Addict, 2001, both of which he also produced. An upcoming film, Eurotrash, currently in post-production, credits Tony as writer and producer and features his son, Zachary Peck, in an acting role, marking an intergenerational collaboration. GregoryPeck.com also notes Tony as a singer. Beyond the arts, Tony Peck also ventured into U.S. politics, running for a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. While unsuccessful, this ambition echoes a family interest in civic engagement. His father was a known humanitarian and activist, and his half-brother Carey also ran for Congress. Tony Peck's first marriage was to model Cheryl Tiegs, 1990 to 1995, with whom he has a son, Zachary Zach Anthony Peck, born 1991, now an actor. Tony is currently married to Paula Peck, and they reside in Los Angeles with their blended family. He is part of a large sibling group, including his full sister Cecilia, and half-siblings Jonathan, deceased, Stephen, and Carey. They've often collaborated in honoring their father's legacy, like participating in DVD interviews. Tony, often with his siblings, actively curates Gregory Peck's legacy. He was instrumental in the Oliver Peoples Gregory Peck eyewear collection, inspired by Atticus Finch's iconic glasses. He and Cecilia managed their parents' estate auction, with proceeds benefiting World Central Kitchen, reflecting their father's humanitarian spirit. Number 1. Cecilia Peck. Born on May 1, 1958 in Los Angeles, Cecilia grew up immersed in art, intellect, and social engagement. Her father, Gregory Peck's commitment to films with social themes deeply inspired her. Her mother, Veronique Pisani Peck, a Parisian journalist turned LA philanthropist, undoubtedly shaped Cecilia's worldview with her journalistic instinct and elegance. Cecilia and her brother Tony had a bicultural upbringing, moving between LA, France, and global film sets. A Princeton University graduate, Cecilia later worked as a story analyst for CBS Theatrical Films and ABC Motion Pictures in New York, gaining a crucial understanding of narrative structure. Cecilia initially explored acting, earning a Golden Globe nomination for her role in the 1993 TV movie The Portrait, where she played her father, Gregory Peck's artist daughter. Her acting credits also include films like Torn Apart, 1990, and Killing Zoe, 1993. However, she transitioned to directing, producing, and writing, mentored by acclaimed documentarian Barbara Kopple. Working with Kopple, who is celebrated for her cinema verite style, Cecilia learned to follow a story and not impose an agenda. Their collaborations include producing A Conversation with Gregory Peck, 1999, an intimate documentary portrait of her father directed by Kopple, and co-directing Shut Up and Sing, 2006, which followed the Dixie Chicks after their controversial political statements. This move behind the camera allowed her to explore complex social issues with an authorial voice. Cecilia Peck's filmography shows a courageous engagement with sensitive subjects, giving voice to the vulnerable. Her work often focuses on social justice, trauma, and coercive control, particularly within cults. Her commitment is recognized by a DART Fellowship from Columbia School of Journalism for excellence in reporting on trauma. Landmark productions include Brave Miss World, 2013, a Netflix documentary she directed and produced, telling the story of Lenore Abergil, an Israeli Miss World who transformed her trauma of rape into global advocacy. Released before the Me Too movement, it was pioneering. Seduced, Inside the Niggy VM Cult, 2020. As showrunner, director, and EP for this Starz docu-series, Peck meticulously charted India Oxenberg's harrowing experiences in Nig's VM. It earned Emmy nominations and praise for its sensitive, trauma-informed portrayal. Escaping Twin Flames, 2023. For Netflix, she directed and executive produced this series investigating the controversial Twin Flames universe, a project that emerged from whistleblowers contacting her ex-IVM survivors platform. Cecilia champions a trauma-informed filmmaking methodology, ensuring survivors are supported. She and her collaborators aim to create responsible art that exposes, educates, and alerts people of the dangers. Cecilia Peck's influence extends beyond her films. She actively engages in advocacy, working with fellow Princeton alumnus and cult survivor Hoyt Richards to raise awareness about coercive control. She's married to writer-screenwriter Daniel Vole, and they have 2 children, Harper and Ondine, residing in Los Angeles. Cecilia remains involved in her family's legacy, participating in tributes to her father and, with Tony, managing their parents' estate auction benefiting charity. Each navigated the immense weight and privilege of their heritage in their own way. Their stories show that while a legendary parent casts a long shadow, it can also illuminate diverse paths towards personal fulfillment, service, and the creation of unique individual legacies.